By the way,
Well,
for
see, I don't.
everybody that by the way, for everybody that's on the live, our co-host Miranda is running a tiny bit late, so we're not going to start with trauma talk until she gets here.
Unless she was raptured, then
Yes, if she was
we'll
raptured, you
have
know,
to go on without her.
right? Oh, hold on. There's a weird sound. Let me go check this out.
There's a weird sound. I don't know what it is. I didn't hear the sound. Maybe it's the sound of the rapture.
Okay,
Oh,
I thought I was being raptured, so I had to go and check.
that's what I told the people. I was like, maybe it's the sound of the rapture.
I mean, it was a very weird sound, and I walked outside and looked, and
Were
there's
there
people
people?
outside, so maybe it's
Oh,
not happening,
oh.
or maybe
Were
I'm
there
just
like
not good enough.
were there
No. I
empty
mean, no, like just weird.
clothes everywhere or anything? Or
No, I didn't see any empty clothes on the any empty
oh,
clothes on the road. Disappeared people. Um, so Eileen's driving to work. Eileen, do you see people on the road? I mean, the rapture may have happened in your location, and I don't know.
oh, she's gonna be in the air too. Ugh, ugh.
Oh, listen, look, if the rapture is going to happen later, Eileen, I really worried for your safety. Although, generally speaking, I have a belief that most pilots are not rapturable people.
Oh, you think pilots are sinful people?
Oh, I know for a fact pilots are sinful as fuck.
They don't have affairs in other cities that they visit or anything like that. That doesn't
Well,
happen.
I mean, I've never confirmed this with Eileen before, but I will tell you that I knew a stewardess before I knew Eileen, who was a Delta stewardess, and her husband, and they were both swingers.
Hmm.
And the way Herb would talk, look, stewardesses and pilots get more sex with each other than most people get.
Now, it's flight attendant, not the stewardess is an out of date name.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, that's right. You can't use the steward and flight attendant.
Yeah,
Flight
yeah,
attendants and pilots fuck a lot. Fuck a lot.
yeah. I've kind of gotten that. I mean, I've never been with either one, so I can't say from experience, but I've heard.
Hi, Gwendolyn. I also went with the red hair today because it matches my top.
I noticed. I noticed. I
Do,
like it.
do you, do you feel my color coordination is working today?
Yes, yes,
Oh, thank you, dear.
yes. I like it, and it's revealing some ink.
Oh yeah, I love to show off my tattoo.
I still have yet to get one.
Oh well, like when we do like WendyCon.
Oh,
So I talked to Aubrey about this last night. Like April or May of
mm.
next year. Don't go anywhere because we're gonna come to Kansas City.
Oh
If we
dear.
came to Kansas City for 4 or 5 days and got an Airbnb, would you hang out?
Yeah, of course.
Like if we gave you a room of the Airbnb, would you hang out and do shit?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Why not?
I know that's like a bit of a drive for you. I wouldn't want you to like.
Oh, I mean, I can if most Airbnbs have Wi-Fi, so I think I can do what I need to do while I'm there. Probably find time for that.
Well, Gwendolyn, so here's the deal with KC is if Aubrey and I go to KC, that means Astrid, Elaine, the angry feminist, Brandon, Lisa, and possibly two others can connect
Oh,
for a
possibly
week.
two others.
Yeah, there's two others that are kind of close to Kansas City, and that means like if we did like a Tuesday to a Sunday, that means we could target a Saturday to go down and protest at Planned Parenthood with Elaine and Astrid, and
Protest Planned Parenthood?
yeah, they will protest. They defend the Planned Parenthood from the fucked up Christians or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And so yeah, Eileen, I'll tell you like as we get closer to April, May of next year, I'll tell you when the dates are, and then yeah, you can if you want to come and hang out, you can come and hang out. Oh, and we have Miranda.
Oh, well,
Now I
Miranda,
know the rapture is a lie
uh,
because you're still here, Miranda.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you weren't raptured.
Win some, lose some.
Yes. Maybe during the next rapture prediction.
Yeah.
Prediction. You know how many times that's been predicted, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Ugh. I mean,
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Seventh Day Adventists, they've been saying the rapture was going to happen every Sunday for as long as they've been around.
I wonder if I should turn off my light. I don't like that.
Thankfully, it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I
Mm.
look. I
I
swear,
never know what
Elaine,
to do
if
with
I get
light.
raptured, you could come and take my shit. I'm good with it.
Ooh, leave your door unlocked.
Yeah, I'll leave my door unlocked so that you could come and get my shit. All right. All right, Miranda, it's your show.
Oh, yeah, my show.
Oh, that works
Alright,
okay, doesn't it?
so yeah, we wanted to talk about rapture trauma and also martyrdom. That's a tough word to say.
Martyrdom.
Martyrdom fantasies. They're very intertwined in evangelical culture. Um, so yeah, I'll just start with a little of my story, and we'll go from there, I guess. Um, I grew up in an evangelical church. I um, got saved when I was a teenager, and um, that was in the late 90s. And so there was already this like huge thing in evangelical culture about the rapture, and we'd already missed a few predictions. Um, and the importance of being on fire for Jesus and being um, bold about your faith, um, because that's what God would look for. Um, and so, they were really pushy to have us express our faith in certain ways and to not respect um, any sort of barrier that other people had, like um, talking about your religion at school or whatever. It was all about getting your friends saved so that they could be whisked up to heaven with you. Um, and then like Columbine happened in 1999,
Ugh.
and there were those stories coming out of that of saying that certain victims of that event were um, pew-pewed because they're Christian faith, and that was, like, another thing hung over our heads that, like, if somebody put a gun in your face and told you to renounce Jesus, would you? And Yeah. Lots a lot of pressure from church leaders to get it right about the rapture and about, um, being willing to be a martyr, and, so I think that they gave a lot of us young Christians a hell of a lot of anxiety because we were, taught to be afraid of saying no to Jesus, and we were taught to be afraid that, when, the second coming comes and the rapture and, um, the trumpet blows and it will be like a thief in the night and you have to be ready. You have to be ready all the time. And so you have to be self-conscious about, all of your supposed sins. And so, if you, um, were a teenager and you were horny and, like, exploring your sexuality any any kind of way, then, like, that put you at risk that you would be left behind, and, yeah, wild wild shit, and a lot of pressure, a lot of forced anxiety. I'm sure Brandon, who had a similar upbringing, can speak to that as well. And I'm
Yes.
gonna grab my earbuds while he does that.
Oh, yes, I recognize everything that you're saying. I remember the whole Columbine thing and I think there was a particular girl who was killed because she didn't uh renounce her faith or whatever. She was from what I from what I heard. But yeah, and I think the Catholics had it even or have it even worse because they're more like and our Christians in the Baptist and Pentecostal religion, there were at least a lot of sins that were forgiven, but like with a lot of Catholics, they had to go and uh, confess their sins before a priest before they
Yeah,
were forgiven, and so if they hadn't done that between the time that they sinned and the time that they died, then that would be
yeah,
a bad deal.
right, and then depending on what their sin was, they
Yeah,
might be in purgatory working it off at
yeah,
God's little, re-education camp, or they would be sent to hell, and yeah,
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think there's a fundamental. I have a few fundamental issues with this, but I'll just bring up one of them, and that's um, the persecution complex identity formation. When that gets thrust upon you, again, that's a euphemism for if you get a gun stuck to your head and somebody says, "Tell me you don't believe in Jesus, or I'm going to shoot." Um, that sort of encapsulates this belief that suffering for faith validates authentic Christian belief. Um,
yeah,
the
Bearing
problem
the
is,
cross.
yeah, you're carrying the cross, but that creates an addictive cycle where a believer then has to seek or imagine opposition to
yeah,
confirm their spiritual status. I have to be suffering.
yeah,
Um, and the sting of perceived rejection becomes proof of absolute righteousness, which is bullshit.
yeah, and it's like the mildest, um, rejection of your ideology is seen as persecution when in fact it's just somebody saying, "No, this is not a thing I want to to join.
Right.
It's been kind of wild going from a community that imagines their persecution, um, weaponizes their persecution, has turned their persecution into a multi-billion-dollar industry of movies and books and speaking engagements and everything, um, to now being a group that's actually persecuted. What a fucking deal that was.
Well, let me raise a second point to that point, and that's end times tribulation anticipation. So, because of constant attempts to predict the rapture and to predict the second coming and predict all of this bullshit that is attached to that, there's vivid apocalyptic scenarios where faithful believers endure horrific persecution before Jesus appears again or whatever. And those fantasies involve detailed mental rehearsal of torture and imprisonment, and it feeds that. It's because of tribulation anticipation that we got those horrible Left Behind novels that nobody in
Yeah,
their right mind should ever fucking read.
yeah. I read them so y'all don't have to.
But the movies, they have Kirk Cameron.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing: one of those movies, I think it was
What
the
a
remake. In the remake, it had Morgan Freeman in it. And I remember watching it and thinking, my God, how desperate was he for money to do this?
yeah,
Was that the one? Wasn't Nicolas Cage in one of them? In
Yeah,
that,
that was
yeah.
was it that?
Nick Cage. Yeah, Nick Cage. And which, by the way, I have to point out, Nick Cage is doing another movie that's coming out in November, and it's a horror movie, and it's called The Carpenter's Son. And it literally paints Jesus as a demon possessed individual.
Ooh.
And the narrative is that Joseph has to kill him. And I'm like, oh, here we go. That's going to come out in the theater, and Chris is going to be like, oh, this is the end times right here.
Look at us being persecuted by this Nick Cage movie.
Well, another point of as far as the persecution goes, and a lot of Christians now, instead of embracing their own persecution, or whatever, putting they're persecuting others.
Yeah,
They're targeting those who don't believe the way that they do, or you know, trans people, or people, even just people from another country. Doesn't
yeah.
has nothing to do with beliefs.
They're persecuting their fellow Christians, like with
Yeah.
the G-side that's going on in Palestine, like Christians there who are like where Christ lived, um, are having their churches bombed and having their land taken, and they're begging the church at large for help, but the church at large is in so many ways just an American project or Western project, and part of the theology surrounding the end times and everything is that, we have to make sure that the Jews have the Holy Land again so that Jesus can rebuild the temple. And so they justify mass murder for Jesus.
I think, but so again, that goes back to painting secular culture as the oppressor that's causing all of this to happen.
Yeah.
Uh, Modern society becomes the menacing force that's actively hunting Christ. We become Nero and we're shoving Christians into coliseums and making lions chase after them and shit. When
Uh-huh.
that's not what's happening, we're just existing in a culture subset outside of Christian dogma, and they fucking freak out about it. So secular culture is the downfall of Christianity, which is why I want to say I wish the aliens would just hurry up and land on the earth and say, "You bitches have got it wrong. Here's all the shit you don't know. Here's what you don't see," so that Christianity people in the Christian faith could go, "Oh,
They won't do that.
hell
They'll
yeah, they won't
the
do it."
the aliens will be demons.
The devil."
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, well, I found that funny because as a literary reference, the overlords from Clark's novel Childhood's End looked specifically demonic, and that's what happened. Like the religious people like freaked out and went, "That's Satan," and then you get to the end of the book and you realize they knew what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah, whenever you make your whole life about spotting demons, you're gonna see them.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
them everywhere you look, and, um, instead of, seeing Christ in the least of these, you're going to see, um, demons in the least of these.
Yeah. Yeah. They will find justifications for what they believe, even if it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
I Could it be Satan? Could it be? Well, isn't that special?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least
Thank you, Dana Carvey. Uh, Thank you, Dana Carvey. Well, let me ask you this, Miranda. Missionary martyrdom. How do you see that?
Yeah, so, that's something that, like, really, is exploited a lot in the persecution industry. Um, and there have always been stories of the missionary went to um, a savage people and was killed.
Yes.
Um, probably for trying to take their gold, but that's not the story that's told. Um, and and then like as the modern um culmination of these stories came together, you had the Jesus Freak book that came out that was um late 90s, I think, as well. Um and all these it was a collection of stories of Christian martyrs, and a lot of them were missionaries. They were going into different cultures that weren't westernized and Christianized, and um, some of them met a violent end. I'm not going to say that that didn't happen or never happens, but um, whenever um,
I don't.
whenever what
I don't think we
whenever
can.
white Christians do it, whenever white Christians go into a culture to uh, to push their thing, it's considered goodness. And whenever other people just exist in a place, they're called invaders. Um, there's so much like Darvo that goes on, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's an abuse technique, narcissistic thing. It's um, it's me forgetting what the acronym stands for. Um, in the middle of the life. Okay, so um, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender.
Yeah.
So I
On the
we see
missionary
this all
on
the
the
time.
on the missionary point, you can't say that doesn't happen, and here's why you can't say it doesn't happen. In the last 15 years, 2 Christian missionaries have gone to the Sentinelese tribe that's in India.
Yeah,
They got to the beach and they were killed. And the the sad part about it is like the one missionary's body is still on the beach, decaying away, and the Indian government will not allow the missionary's family to collect the body so that they can bury him.
mhm,
And that has demonized the Indian government for allowing the Sentinelese tribe, to exist. Um,
yeah,
There are. I mean, I grew up in Pentecostal church, but then I attended a Southern Baptist for a long time, and of course they were very much about mission work. And I have a cousin who has been. She's a missionary. She has been for many years, and she's gone over to Africa several times in European countries and such. A lot of times she's not allowed to tell us where she's been because it's illegal for them to be there doing what they're doing.
right.
But a lot of what they do a lot of good work in some places. They go down and help build houses and you know, d- they do a lot of good things. Of course, while they're there, they also bring in
yeah,
the message, you know, yeah. But the thing is, they don't have to go to all these different countries to help the homeless and the poor. There are so many here. Well, I've never understood that part of it. Why are they not just looking out their back door and helping their neighbor? You know, they're they're. I don't. I still don't quite understand that. It's not. I don't know. It's just doesn't. They're spending so much money sending them to far away countries and distant places, and right across the street, there's somebody sleeping on the sidewalk. You know what I mean?
Uh,
yeah,
that's entirely Paul's fault. Pauline doctrine teaches that the concept of missionary work is a requirement because when you have preached the word to every corner of the earth, that's when Jesus will. And so missionary work is an attempt to foment the second coming by permeating
Right.
over the earth the teachings, the biblical teachings.
But they're
it,
kind of they're trying to expedite the second coming, and they're like, but they know that all these people around them are not Christians or not, they need help or whatever, and they're ignoring them. They're like, well, let's just get the rapture over with, and so we can go to heaven.
yeah.
That they're it's not
It's really
real.
selfish.
Yeah,
It's
right.
incredibly
Right.
selfish.
Hugely,
Yeah.
yeah, hugely selfish.
And then the like concept of what heaven is so tied to our concepts of material wealth. So, if I'm a good Christian in my mortal life and I preach to people and I support missions, then God's going to give me a mansion on streets of gold and blah 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 blah. And so they're thinking about, what they're going to get out of the work. They're not having compassion like Jesus taught.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I as far as like the local homeless or people in need, um, I think a lot of it's easy for them to brush them off because um, using a couple of different like rhetorical devices. One is that, well, we do help them. We have we have these shelters and there are government programs, and never mind that we're trying to defund those. But these people have help and they're choosing not to receive the help.
Yeah.
And also, well, we've preached the gospel to them, and the fact that they're poor or they're living on the street means that they've failed spiritually. Even
Yeah.
though a lot of poor people are Christians.
Because that's the apostasy. See, what from Pauline doctrine is you're fighting the apostasy, which has to go full tilt. At the same time that you have to convert the entire earth at the same time. So and the problem is when you study that text, you realize that Paul's saying that the apostasy has to do this much versus the conversion has to do this much is impossible. It can't happen. That's a never ending fight. It'll never and it'll never that'll never end. I mean, you can say that, but you know, it won't. So it won't matter. Like the homeless guy doesn't believe, and Christian missionaries won't like waste their time on him because they see that as an apostate. But the unilateral relationship between apostasy and the teaching of the word, there's no like synergy there that causes. Which I'm going to be honest, that makes Christians who believe that as bad as Islamic jihadists, because Islamic jihadists are doing the same thing. They're just trying to cause jihad, Ragnarok, whatever the fuck,
Right.
is
And
going to,
and the Christians are
yeah,
about
faster. We need to get there
apocalypse.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same parallel.
I knew one guy who was very much a believer that we do not have free will. That
I
he
love
was a
Calvinism.
dude. He attended a Baptist church. I think it was Baptist. It might have been non-denominational, but that we you're preordained. You're either
Predestinate. Predestinate.
predestination, right? You're either going to heaven or going to hell. There's nothing. It's been set. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It's it's a very interesting way to look at it as a Christian. Like, why? What's the point of prayer? What's the point of um, um, evangelism? What's the point of missionary work if it's been preordained?
So,
Well, you're like, if you believe in that, you are still beholden to play your part,
Right,
and
right.
your part includes that there are some people who are lost that will be found, and it's your duty to go fetch them.
Yeah. It's
Um,
kind of a catch-22 almost, or like a I don't know if that's the right word or the right term, but yeah, it's like you that's that's your role, and yet if you don't do it, it's going to happen anyway, right? Someone else will do it, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's kind of like uh
So I actually have a reference for this. I had to go into my t- collegiate text, the disaster that I did when I was younger. The thing that you're talking about is Calvinist determination or Calvinist determinism. And what that says is that Reformed Christians reject free will because they believe human depravity runs so deep that the soul lies spiritually dead and is incapable of choosing God any more than a corpse can choose to breathe. And so the argument is free will makes God's sovereignty impotent, like completely impotent, reducing the Almighty to a cosmic bellhop that just says, "Oh, hi, I'm here. Here's the elevator. It's going to go up or down. Just depends on where you're going." Um, and so the Calvinists, specifically, the Calvinist Baptists, Calvinist Methodists do this too. Um, that total sense of depravity means that the will itself is enslaved in sin, and that then Christ's sacrifice becomes merely potential rather than effectual, leaving God's eternal purpose hostage to fickle human witness. And so every free choice flows from a corrupted nature that they already believe in. So it doesn't matter. You're going to get on the elevator, and the bellhop God is going to say it's going to go up or down. That's already been worked out. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the fuck you did.
it also turns God into someone who is sending people to hell
Yes.
because they are preordained for that. He
Yeah.
created this person for this. It doesn't make sense looking at the God from the Bible and what Jesus taught. It it's contradictory.
Well, that counters a couple of different things. One, that counters that God is omniscient, because omniscience says everything that can happen, everything that will happen, or everything that could possibly happen. And so omniscience against the concept that free will is bullshit doesn't work. And here's the other thing, that makes God not omnibenevolent. You can't be a being of pure good. I've made this argument countless of times,
Hmm.
and I'm just going to settle it right here. If God is omnibenevolent, omniscient, um, omnipotent, and everything else, the pure good, incapable of flaw, you know, knows everything that will, can, does, everything that happens. If God is all of that, and then uh, God is the omni creator, everything that has existed, seen, unseen, heard, unheard, known, unknown, God is responsible for all of that creation. How does Satan exist? How can pure, unadulterated good knowingly create abject evil and then not claim responsibility? Doesn't work that way.
Hmm. Well, like if we look at the Job story,
I'm glad you brought
uh,
that up. I have to think about that.
like Satan is not the bad guy in that story.
No,
God and Satan are just like hanging out in the
water
ethereal,
In the weather, yeah.
yeah, whatever. And
Hey, what's up?
God's the one like, hey, you want to gamble with this human? How about you go make him suffer, and then that'll show that he'll still be devoted to me. And so it's like God keeps giving Satan instruction to do bad things to Job and his family, just to win this bet.
Here's the issue with that. If you read the book of Job and you understand the book of Job, in its overt meaning, implicitly destroys the martyrdom concept. Martyrdom fantasies against Job make martyrdom bullshit completely. And here's the reason for that. The book of Job demolishes evangelical martyrdom fantasies. And here's why. When modern believers romanticize suffering as spiritual validation, Job's agony doesn't give that any comfort. How could it?
Yeah.
His flesh erupts with boils. His children lie buried and dead. His wealth crumbles to ash. He's sitting in an ocean swimming with a giant fire-breathing dragon. Job never fantasizes about persecution or seeks the suffering as a badge of faith. He just doesn't. Instead, he screams in confusion at the void, cursing the day of his birth while his body writhes in torment and he's losing everything. And the divine response from the whirlwind gives him no explanation for why he's suffering.
Like Job is faithful because he's begging God for mercy.
Exactly.
And God is choosing not to give him mercy.
Because God is using Satan as God's own agent to cause that suffering, just to prove the point that a person can be pious and a believer in God, which makes martyrdom bullshit.
Yeah. Julie's pointing out that Brandon is so gay. I think I noticed that too.
Well, I don't know where this conversation came from. Aaron was talking about underwear on the floor, and I was like, I put my underwear in a hamper or basket.
Wait, I have to ask, is that underwear or is that a jock strap?
Both. I mean, it's both, right? Underwear. And while we're on the subject, I don't like the pluralism of underwear. What? There's no pair. There's no pair of underwear. There's no pair of anything. It's one garment that you put on. Where's the one underwear? If you don't have a pair, what? There's no singular underwear.
Do you know why
there's panties? Where do panties? There's not one panty, is there?
No.
You can't split it in half and wear it.
Do you know why that happens? That euphemism is because you put two legs.
Well, I thought of that as like there are two holes. That's not part of the garment. Those are holes. There's nothing there. You don't put that on. Ridiculous.
Aaron, two legs, bro. Two legs.
Two legs, yes, but not two underwears.
Oh.
Two panties, no. So, all right, sorry. Back to
the original point that I was linking into, Miranda, is that when martyrdom fantasies create meaning through victimhood, Job discovers that authentic faith must exist without any psychological crutches. It just can't. And so when I was young and I wrote this, I specifically said this in the writing. His restoration comes not because his suffering proved anything, because it didn't, but through a naked encounter with divine mystery that transcends human need for explanatory framework. So basically what that says is Job's story just eviscerates comfortable martyrdom theology as bullshit and leaving only raw faith stripped of self-serving spiritual. So that's what you're supposed to take away when you read that text, which is why Christians don't read that text in its entirety to understand that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wish they would.
Yeah. Yeah, they leave out an honest reading of Job. They leave out the Gospels
Well,
and
I that
just
was
use Paul to support their like imperial ideology.
that was the thing that I tried to bring up, and the rapture didn't happen, and here's why: because when you read the Nag Hammadi texts, there's the apocalypse of Peter and the first apocalypse of James, and they present an entirely different set of parallels that completely fuck the rapture narrative, which is why they were probably never included in the text. And those texts, while not canonical in any way, reflect early Christian thought that emphasized transformation through suffering, which is what Paul was telling everybody to do. You can't get raptured. You have to survive the fucking apocalypse to be saved or whatever. And so, and
Yeah,
even further than that, the Gospel of Thomas, blessed are you when you are hated and persecuted, not blessed are you when you are yanked out of the shit before it got real.
yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
Well, I guess we're good.
it
We're getting persecuted. I guess we're on the list, right?
yeah,
yeah.
I've been labeled a terrorist. I've been told that Tylenol caused my autism. Even though my mother never took Tylenol ever. I grew up in a setting, a very organic, natural setting that did not have near the chemicals that are involved in everything they accuse autism to autism source being the source of. Um, you know, but I'm autistic anyway. I mean, I'll dig up my diagnosis somewhere. I've been 299/80 for 20 years.
Yeah, my autism has nothing to do with my dad being an eccentric, brilliant engineer. It has nothing to do with my granddad's stamp collection. Um, you know, it's all that Tylenol.
Yeah, Julie, I will tell you. I'm definitely telling you that Charlie Kirk is not even close to a martyr, much less a sufferer.
Yeah, he lived a life of luxury, paid for by spouting hate.
And lies.
Hmm.
Yeah, hate and lies. Completely and totally.
Yeah, it's interesting how the martyrdom fantasy uh, feeds into um, a willingness to bear false witness against people. That's something that has always bothered me a lot. Um, and something that like I can't convince the Christians in my life to stop lying about people like me. And sometimes the shortest distance between a civil conversation and a death threat is asking a Christian to stop bearing false witness.
No, because they romanticize it. I mean, there's romanticism behind that. I mean, Brandon, didn't your parents ever tell you you're not suffering enough? Or have they ever told you you're not suffering enough?
Well, not in those words, but I mean, yeah. I mean, that you have to go through pain and suffering. Yes.
And if you're not suffering enough, then you're not doing enough for Jesus.
Yeah. If you're not suffering, you're doing something wrong.
Well, I mean, there's the narrative about self-imposed suffering. That's what feeds that, and self-imposed suffering as a spiritual disciple. So you become the nature of that suffering. So deliberate hardship-seeking behaviors, that's the taking up the cross narrative.
Mhm.
And if you're not doing that, then Christians will tell you, well, you're not suffering enough for God, which is wrong in their mind.
Oh, I have an aunt that loves to tell you about how much she suffers. She
How much?
loves to.
How much does she suffer?
We're just so poor. We can't afford, blah, 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 blah. We're just so poor. She brings that up all the time. We just don't have the money for that. We're just so poor. Her diabetes, is, no, oh, I can't eat that. And it's just, blah, 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 blah. It's always bringing up something that she's suffering from.
Mhm.
And, that makes her more of a Christian, I guess. Makes her holier because of all the suffering.
Well, that feeds into the family rejection scenario. And so what that says is fantasies about being disowned or being pushed away by non-believing family members, or pushing away family members who are themselves non-believing. That's a martyrdom narrative too.
Yeah.
The pain of those broken relationships becomes proof of choosing God over humanity.
Mhm. And they, and then they justify that scripturally with, Jesus saying, "I came not to bring, peace but a sword,"
Yeah,
and,
I did not come to
father against brother, and yeah.
yeah. Think not I did come to abolish the old laws. No, I came to enforce them. Um, which is again trying to tie Jesuit doctrine back to, you know, Old Testament law, even though Christians tell you that the New Testament's the New Covenant, some of those laws don't apply anymore. Um, RB Hughes, if you want to come in here and talk anytime, come back on Trauma Tuesday, and uh, we'll listen to you talk about it, and we can help you get through it. I've helped a lot of Catholics deconstruct. Deconstructing Catholics, by the way, is way easier than deconstructing evangelicals.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Um, Mainly because most Catholics haven't read the text, so they just go through the liturgy and that's it. And you tell them, when you get to this part of the liturgy, just don't skip the 400 pages to the next point. Just read those 400 pages and then come talk to me. And then they read the 400 pages and they're like, I don't understand. Exactly. Because you're doing what you're told and not what you should do on your
Mhm. And evangelicals read the Bible, but only in parts. It's like, "Oh, yeah, God keeps leading me to this verse. That
own.
must
Oh
have
my God.
special spiritual meaning for me."
Is that
Well, that's
why
like,
the Lifeway store sells the stupid fucking calendars and they have a verse
uh,
every day? God meant for me to read this verse today. No, it's
Mhm.
because that's the next goddamn day, you piece of shit.
it was printed on that day.
You were gonna say, Brandon, I
Oh,
didn't.
I was just gonna say, my aunt, she'll, like I said, she'll complain and talk about her suffering and everything. But then there's the verse that says, "Do all things without complaining."
Yeah.
Doesn't doesn't follow that one. Doesn't
No.
follow that
Yeah,
one.
like there's a difference between, suffering and performing suffering.
Yeah.
And
But if you're
the church teaches one and not the other. But then
if we're talking about performative suffering, I mean, surely the Almighty can see through that.
Yeah, but because it's not for him, it's for everyone around.
performing
It's not.
suffering,
Yeah,
praying
for the
on the
right
street
reason.
corner,
Yeah.
getting a cross with wheels
Well,
on it to
hold on.
carry
We
around.
just had Voltaire join the chat. Voltaire just joined. I'm screenshotting this shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Candide is one of my favorite novels, no lie.
you know my favorite story about him, right? He's dying, he's on his deathbed, and the priest comes in to read him his last rites. And Voltaire looks at him and says, "Father, this is no time to be making enemies. Get the fuck out." The eternal. That's somebody asked me today in a conversation. I had made some comment, and like I think it was probably Sarah. Like Sarah said something, and I replied to her, and she was like, "Oh, do you really mean that?" And I'm like, "No, my brain perpetually works in a state of satire. So when I make an offhanded comment, you automatically have to assume that I'm just being sarcastic or perfunctorily satirical. That you in no way can take that seriously. It's like when I talk to Aubrey and I call her a shithead. And then I say, "You're not a shithead, you're my shithead." That's
Yeah. Well,
you know, it's implied that I'm not actually calling her a shithead.
that's the same way with me when it comes to like I published an article yesterday that about me being perfect. That is completely the opposite of how I actually feel about myself. It is completely sarcastic.
Oh no, but I
And
loved that post. I loved that post, Brandon, because you wrote that. You were like, "I've never broken any bones. I'm all
yeah,
complete." Yada yada. I literally was like, "Holy shit!" The 15 pounds of inorganic titanium I have in my body against not having a gallbladder and not having my appendix and having broken like literally 60% of all of the bones in my body, including my nose, a repeated number of times, yada yada, whatever. I was like, God, if Brandon's perfect, I am the epitome of imperfect.
no,
Brandon, honey,
very much satirical.
Brandon, honey, I want to be like you.
uh, well, you're the only one.
Oh, I know that's not true. Oh, I know that's not true. No, that's not true. Oh, well, I feel like this was a good one. Brandon, do you have anything to close?
No, well, yeah. I want to go back to the Darvo thing. The deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. That is everywhere. It is in, the church uses it against us. Politicians use that obviously with their propaganda. And so I think it's something that we should be cognizant of.
Yeah.
And be willing to call it out, especially be willing to call it out whenever we're not the victims of that propaganda. Which I know that sounds really self-serving since I'm a victim of the propaganda right now, or the mainstream propaganda. But like, you know, we need cis people who are willing to say, hey, what you're doing to the trans community is what the violence is. It is not this fantasy that you have, and call it out and be persistent and fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
I agree completely. I agree completely. Aaron knows exactly what I mean, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, okay. So right at the top of the hour, Miranda, thank you.
Yes.
I promise.
Subject, Miranda.
Yes, I promise. Whatever do you want to do Thursday at 1?
Yeah, that should work for me.
Yeah, Brandon, you have any blockers for that?
Unless they updated the Rapture or something, I guess. I'll.
Yeah, like if we find out that the rapture actually happened or whatever, then we can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
RV Hughes, if this subject or the nature of queer discussion interests you, please register for the publication. Please register for Brandon's publication, and please register for Miranda's publication, especially if you like poetry and humor and satire. All three of us are worthy reads. Brandon's a much better writer than I am, by the way, so you should definitely at least read him. But now, you know what? Shut up. I'm the mom. I'm the mom. Mama can say whatever the fuck Mama wants, and you just have to accept it.
All right.
Okay. Well, what if the rapture happens and only Christians are left behind? Here's the thing. I'm going to close with this. I don't want to be raptured because none of the cool. Do you think Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, Albert Einstein, and like Immanuel Kant and Nietzsche are all in heaven? Fuck no. I don't want to go up there. I want to go where all the cool people are hanging out. All of my heroes, they're definitely not upstairs. That's all there is to it. All right. Brandon, Miranda, thank you both, as always. If you're new,
we're looking forward to seeing what your topic choice is.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to upstage that. But I'll think of something good. But anyway, so if you're new, please subscribe. Subscribe to both of my co-hosts. They're amazing, wonderful people that do really cool shit. And then with that, I will tell everybody, please go out and do good things and be safe out there. And I love you both and thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.